they're proud of themselves when they do that. They develop literature identities. Yes, they must do poetry in my class, and hopefully in all art class and literature classes. The overall academic achievement, research shows students who participate or experience art integrated curricula met or significantly exceeded state and district standard test averages. I attest to that. I did that at Tuckahoe County schools, and they were failing. It was like 2 years before the state came in. That year and the next year and a half, their scores went up. I left them with the West Point. West Point. I can't say it's because I left, because I did everything I could then by integrating the other subjects into it, and it worked. Kids remembered it, they enjoyed it. And if kids enjoy it, they're going to do it. Now, even in schools with high populations of at-risk, I'm sorry.
Art risk, huh?
Art risk students, yeah, the art risk. And now, what I do love is this part here. The research shows there's no negative impact from incorporating art integration. So if all you see are positive impacts, no negative, why not do it? It makes your life easier, it makes your lessons easier, it makes your classroom fun, and it most importantly helps the student learn. And when you're teaching students, whether it's high school or college, your focus are the student's achievement. And it's every student. And this is the best way to include every single student, regardless of their race, ethnicity, religion, or anything. This is the best way to do that and not be biased. Now, the high school cognitive outcomes, their creative thinking, critical thinking, and problem solving skills were also higher. And by this time, once you're in high school, their flexibility of juggling different things should have improved by then. And their study shows that when they have art incorporated into that, their thinking skills are really strong. And most of these people normally go out and participate in the world of art. They normally support the world of art and so forth. These are some of my gurus. Corbett Wilson and Morse, D. Morse, 2002. The arts are and are, and it's really to integrating the arts, improve the student literacy, and more in the Mississippi Arts Commission Whole Schools Initiative. This is what we go by today. This is what rules Mississippi schools, okay? The research here was basically done where they evaluated the MAC program and MAC, Mississippi Art Commission, that's MAC, and the WSI is the Whole School Initiative. And this is showing the vital importance of incorporating art and how they did it. This is what all public schools in Mississippi go by as far as art or any other subject. The key findings in this particular study show that those who participated in the Whole School Initiative, which we all had to do, we didn't have a choice, had a similar or greater literacy proficiency than the state and a set of matched comparison schools, which is the big thing because this area, Golden Triangle area, went from being one of the #1 schools and dropped all the way down, but most schools in this area were D's and F's. So that's very important. Let's see. A higher growth in student literacy performance. And there's one more that I really, really like. Here. Teachers and students reported improved academic, social, and personal outcomes associated with this particular initiative. And here, this is my favorite word here. This is my little phrase, enjoyment of the arts. If they enjoy it, they're gonna continue to learn. And the only reason I'm stuttering here, guys, is because the other slide messed me up. I was really prepared. Okay, the methodology is the evaluation, collected quantitative and qualitative data. And that's important. Even when you're doing, teaching your classes, it's important that you do assessments. We have gotten away from that because we've gotten lazy. But how can you teach a student if you don't know where the student is? And it's not just pre-test. And it's not just pre-test and post-test. It's what you're doing in between. So here we have to assess the students as far as what particular subject area has been integrated. And normally it's going to be like 3 to 5 different subject areas that we integrate when we use art with other subjects. So the assessments are very important, and they must be the dual assessments as well, quantitative and qualitative. We did interviews here, observation surveys, and the change journey maps. That's a subject I really can't speak that much on because I'm really trying to learn how to do that. But apparently it is working in schools up north. And hopefully we'll be adapting to that next year. And then to access art integration in the classroom, evaluators conducted site visits, classroom observations. And here the teachers and parents, not just the teachers and students, but the parents also got involved in this particular process. Okay. And here the evaluators analyzed the annual student achievement data from the criterion-based Mississippi curriculum test for subgroups of students at each grade. So I'm right. It does need to start at the beginning, pre-K, and continue throughout that process. And it also needs to be across schools. So whatever elementary did, the middle school needs to do, and the high school needs to piggyback off of it. So we do that at West Point. I make the curriculum for the school, for the middle school, so they have to adhere to that. So that process does work. Okay, and then these are just different limitations of the methodologies. Here we did the Title I designation, proportion based on gender, race, ethnicity, and students participating. And the free and reduced lunch is the big thing, because if you see free and reduced lunch and you integrate in arts, that's more money for your school. Okay, so that is important as well. You're not doing it for the money, but you need money to teach. And educators use various methods to analyze qualitative data, and quantitative data analysis were primarily descriptive. And the limitations here, to me, they're not that really important, because they were going into not just low-income schools, not just A, B, C, and D schools. They did all the schools in the state of Mississippi. So that means they included all areas, you know, high-performance schools, low-performance schools, and integrated art, in order to see how much more they learned and how quickly they learned it. And most of these students normally end up going to college. We had ELPIS-K. His was Art Education, Positive Youth, Cognitive Behavior, and Social Outcomes for Adolescents. So all the next one you're going to see, and he's big with the National Endowment for the Arts. So all these that you're going to see coming up next are my gurus for different ones, and it's just basically, these are just database. Here, and the last one, stretch and explore. Students are expected to try new things, to explore, take risk tasks, and capitalize on their mistakes. This is very important as well, whether it's science, math, English, or social studies, or whatever. If you tell a student it's okay not to get it right, I say not use the word fail, because they already have that negative connotation in their head, I can't do this. So it's okay not to get it right, but it's your first step to trying to get it right. It's okay to get it wrong, but never use the word failure. We learn that in psych class. So here in this particular part, you have them to take risks for whatever the project is. For math, they needed to learn the quadratic equation, so we created a three-dimensional cube, and one that they can actually put images on and use as a paperweight. It worked, and they figured out the quadratic equation. Our students went up by 15% that particular year in West Point in math. So again, these are just different. Okay, this one here, limitation of that research. Now this says the goal is to provide the groundwork for better transfer of studies by identifying particular kinds of thinking skills that are actually learned in arts that might be useful in other disciplines. This is to provide a better understanding of what students are taught and how they learn in studio art classes. So let's not get that confused with them being in my class as an art studio. When it says studio classes, that's any class, any subject area. But this is what I really want you guys to look at. All that stuff is beautiful and it's great. Take one of those and pass it down. These things will definitely help you in your classrooms as far as integrating art and not thinking that that's more work. Again, it's less work, it's fun. Once we teach the teachers how to integrate art into their class subjects, the process is easy. It's like you can't go in and do surgery if you haven't been taught how to do it. Same way you can't teach diverse classrooms effectively until you're taught how to do it. So once you get to know your students, you can integrate these in here. This particular piece of paper I just gave you is called Critical Evidence, and it's how the arts benefit student achievement. And it's going to take you over all of the different subject areas. It has statistics in here. So if you look at it, it has the statistics in here, no child left behind, why that's important, and how that's actually implemented to your subject area, regardless of if you're teaching high school or college or elementary. It says here, 93% agree the arts are vital to provide a well-rounded education for the children. a 2% increase over 2001. So it's 2017. That has significantly increased. You're having more students coming out actually majoring in some form of art, whether it's graphic design, architect, or whatever. It has 83% agree. Art education encourages and assists in improvements of child's attitudes towards school. And then if you go on down, it gives you the other percentages, and this is schools in the state of Mississippi. So if Mississippi is doing this great with arts, then just imagine if every school had to make this part of their curriculum. I don't mind having a job that's a little easier, definitely one that's more fun. Okay? All right, any questions? I misspelled words.